Hello friends, welcome back to the session on earthquake resistant design of structures. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the importance of architectural features that affect the earthquake resistant design of structures. The behavior of a building during earthquake depends critically on its overall shape, size, and geometry, in addition to how the earthquake forces are carried to the ground. Hence, at the planning stage itself, architects and structural engineers must work together to ensure that the unfavorable features are avoided and a good building configuration is chosen. Right? So, it is very important that the shape, size, and geometry of the structure is being thoroughly discussed with the client, the architect, and the structural engineers before finalization of the plan, and then the further working of the project should be done. Right? As one of the engineers has quoted that a good product can only be improved upon if it is having sound characteristics at the very beginning. But a poor product can just be carried on and it cannot be converted into a good product if the sound characteristics are not there at the very beginning. Right? So, what he's trying to say is that if the architectural plan is such that it is not discussed with the structural engineer or no input is taken from the structural engineer at the time of the finalization of the plan, then as a result of that, what is going to happen is that the structural engineer has to just do his job and try to save the building, right? But if initially the inputs from structural engineers are asked for, then he may suggest to arrange or you means to have the geometry or have the plan in such a manner that is going to be resulting into an economical structure also and a sound structural system, right? So as a result of that, it is essential that at the planning stage itself, the client, structural engineer, and architects all three sit together and discuss the plan before reaching to a conclusion. Architectural features include means we are going to talk about the architectural features that are going to affect the performance of a building structurally. So there are four features which a structure engineer should keep in mind. The first is the size of the building. Second is the horizontal layout of the building. Third is the vertical layout of the building. And fourth is the adjacency of the building. So these four features we are going to discuss in this particular video. First is the size of the building. In tall buildings with large height to base size ratio, the horizontal movement of the floor during the ground shaking is very large. In short but very long buildings, the damaging effects during earthquake shakings are many. In buildings with large plan area like warehouses, the horizontal seismic force can be excessive to be carried by columns and the wall. Better understand these particular three statements. Here we take the example that is shown in terms of figures. So three figures are shown. The first figure is that the base is very small, but the height of the building is too large, right? Second, the base is too large, but the width is too less, right? And the third case is that the base is too large and the width is also very large. So if you talk about the first case, then what is going to happen is that it is going to be that the base is very small and the height is very huge. So what is going to happen is that when you compare the base to height ratio, then as a result of that, what is going to happen is that the possibility of that this particular building is going to be affected by the earthquake forces is very huge, right? Because what is going to happen is that it is likely to undergo large deformation when it is going to subject it to horizontal force. Because what is going to happen is that the number of frames, structural frames are going to be less. And when the structural frames are going to be less, then what is going to happen is that the columns that are going to be there, then these columns have to take very excessive force, and then they'll try to carry excessive force. Then the economic of the project will also be not be maintained, and at the same time, greater deformation will also be observed. Second case is that the building is too long. When the building is too long, then also excessive seismic forces are likely to be generated, right? And what is going to happen is that the structurally building is going to be sound in one direction, whether it is going to, and then in the other direction it is going to be weak. Why it is going to be weak? Because you don't have the possibility of placing other structural elements in the other direction. As you can see in the figure number B, the building is having good amount of length in the x direction, but very less amount of length or very less amount of width in the z direction. Right? So as a result of that, what is going to happen is that the building is going to be weak in z direction. Why? Because the number of columns that you are going to provide are going to be less. So these frames in the z direction will have to carry huge amount of loads. And the third is the x and z direction, both the plant dimensions are grade of higher side. Then also, then what is going to happen is that the overall seismic weight of the building is going to be too much. Why? Because the seismic weight is comprising of the dead load plus 0.25 live load characteristics. The dead load is going to be 100%, right? So the more the mass of the building, the more the seismic weight of the building, right? So when you have these large plan areas, and if you don't divide these plan areas into small parts, then what is going to happen is that the dead weight of the structure is going to be used, and due to the dead weight of the structure, the seismic weight of the building is also going to be on the higher side. Now coming to the horizontal layout of the building. In general, the buildings with simple geometry in the plan have performed well during the strong earthquakes. But buildings with re-entrant corners, those having U, V, H, and plus shape in buildings have sustained significant damage. Many times the bad effect of these interior corners in the plan of the buildings are avoided by making buildings into two parts. For example, an L-shaped plan can be broken up into two rectangular plans by providing an expansion joint or suppression joint. Right. So in order to understand this particular point, let us take the example of this figure that I shown. Here, four types of buildings are shown. First is a simple plan, right, which is structurally good because it is going to be having an appropriate size. Enough number of frames are going to be available in both the directions, and as a result of that, a sound structural system can be adopted. Right. Then the second category is where the corners and curves are there. Then you can see the T-shaped building is there, plus shaped building is there, curved building is there. Then what is going to happen is that these corners that are going to be there of T, plus, and curved shape, these corners are known as re-entrant corners. That these re-entrant corners, lot of stress is likely to be generated, and due to this stress, what is going to happen is that when the earthquake forces will be acting, then these particular joints are likely to get weakened. Right. So in order to solve this issue, code is suggesting that whenever you have the buildings of plus shape, T shape, or L shape, it is better to provide a vertical or a horizontal expansion joint and separate these buildings into symmetrical shapes, right? Because this plus shape and T shapes buildings are going to create re-entrant corners. So in order to eliminate the re-entrant corners, you provide the expansion joint at such a place where the building is divided into one or more parts, and they are converted into symmetric shapes. That is also an important word to be kept in mind, right? So that is what the figure is telling. Then we talk about vertical layout of the building. So just like in case of horizontal buildings, we want that the symmetry should be there. Similarly, in case of vertical layout of the building, the symmetry is also expected. As you can see here in the figure that is shown on your screen, then three types of figures are shown. The first case is the setbacks, where the setbacks are shown in the vertical. That is, for from ground to first story, the plant dimension is of a certain size. Then after the first floor, the plant dimension is reducing. As a result of that, a setback is generated. Then the second figure is where what is going to happen is that on the ground story and the front story, the stiffness is the same. But from the second story onwards, half the building is cut, so the stiffness is going to get reduced. In the third case, what is happening is that the plant dimension in the top floor is increasing, which is also a big concern. So what is going to happen in all these three cases when setbacks are going to be there, then there is going to be a sudden change in the stiffness of the building. And when this sudden change in the stiffness of the building is there, then as a result of that, the stresses are likely to get introduced into the building, and they are likely to cause problems. Right? So such setback should also be avoided. Then the second category for vertical layout of the building is the weak story or the soft story, as can be seen in the figure, where the soft story can be seen where, for example, we can take the example of parking plus 5 buildings, right? So where on the ground floor you have parkings, then in case of parkings, what you see that peripheral masonry walls or the infill walls are not provided. So what is going to happen is that the stiffness at the ground floor is less as compared to the stiffness of the above story. As a result of that, what is going to be soft story or weak story is generated, and as a result of that, the problem is going to be there in case of earthquake. So in order to solve that problem, it is better that even at the ground floor where the parking is there, then certain infill walls should be provided. Then another example is that if the building is placed on a slopy ground, right? In case it is placed on a sloping ground, then also the issue is there. Why? Because the stiffness of all the columns, as you can see, the height is different. Since the height is different, then what is going to happen is that stiffness of all the frames are going to be different. And if these frames are going to be different, then they are going to carry their force according to their stiffness, and as a result of that, uneven distribution of earthquake forces. Then another example that is given, another example that is given, that is example for the, what you can say, the stub columns that are introduced into the building. That is, you can see that the columns are not there at the ground floor, but from the first floor onward, the columns are there. So as a result of that, what is going to happen is that there is again massive change in the stiffness from the first floor. As a result of that, the lateral stiffness is going to change at the ground floor and the first floor, and as a result of that, the uneven stresses are generated in the building. Right? So these are all different cases of vertical layout of the building. So these kind of layout should be avoided, and a structural frame and structural planning should be done in such a manner that a symmetric system is available throughout the height of the building. And last and the most important part or the most critical part is the adjacency of the building. That is, when you have to construct a new building adjacent to an existing building. When two buildings are too close to each other, they may pound on each other during strong storm, right? Because what is how they are going to pound? Because horizontal movement of the building is going to take place. So if one building is going to go in one direction and the second building also goes in the same direction, then the possibility is that the two buildings will collide with each other. With the increase in building height, this collision can be a greater problem. When building heights do not match, the roof of the shorter building may pound at mid height of the columns of the taller one. This can be very dangerous, right? So, in order to understand this phenomena, this figure is shown. So, what is shown here is that one building on the left side is having less height, more height, and the building on the right side is having more height. So, as a result of that, what can be seen here is that the pounding effect is likely to take place. So this pounding effect can also create damage to the buildings, right? So these are all different aspects. So how this problem of pounding effect can be avoided by keeping appropriate gap between the two buildings, and this gap can be suggested by a structural engineer depending upon the maximum lateral displacement of the two buildings, right? So if that calculation is done beforehand and the concern of the structural engineer is taken, then this pounding effect can also be avoided. So these four architectural features are very important in design of the structural in the structural design of a building, which cannot be ignored, and this should be discussed before the plan is finalized in order to have a sound and economic structure. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.